On this episode, I'll compare Tesla's Model Y to the Ioniq 5 and to the EV6. Is it a simple case of, well, Tesla's the best, so let's just all give up? No, I'm not a fanboy. I'm going to be as objective as I possibly can be, pick out the winner in a lot of different categories, and come up with who I reckon has got the best SUV on the market right now. G'day and welcome, my name is Chris and I cover technologies like electric vehicles from an Australian perspective. If you're new, please subscribe. Alright, guys, girls, you might be in the market for an electric SUV, and in Australia we've got finally a bit of choice, and there's been a lot of changes lately. We've finally got the Tesla Model Y coming out very soon, Ioniq 5 whenever they do releases, and that stupid Chook Lotto system they're doing, and also the EV6, again limited quantities from Hyundai and Kia. Nonetheless, you can buy all three now. So I thought if you're on the fence as to what one you want, what you don't want, this is the video for you. I've actually reviewed the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, spending over a week with each of them. I've also done first impression video of the Model Y, which is basically a Model 3 beefed up. So know that one, I'm not a Tesla fanboy. I love Tesla, don't get me wrong, but I find fault with them as I have with the other cars. In fact, like the Ioniq 5, I found at least like 8 different things I didn't like about it. Yeah, but nonetheless, it was still a great car. And you got to say it, you have to admit it, no car is perfect. No brand is perfect. So let's dive in and let's find out who actually comes out on top. Now first, I want to address the ones that are basically identical across the range, like Bluetooth. They've all got Bluetooth, so that's nice and simple. Home charging. All three feature an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. No issue there, mind you. Tesla recently removed the included universal mobile connector, so perhaps no, I'm going to take them out. They didn't get a point, definitely not. And finally, all can tow. 750 kilograms unbraked or 1600 kilograms braked. Now let's get into the subjective stuff, and let's start with color choices. Tesla, you've got white, a zero cost option, black, silver and blue $1,500, or red at $2,900 because we all know it's fastest. Moving over to the Ioniq 5, you've got 6 choices. You've got the Atlas White, Grey, Black, Teal Green, Lucid Blue and Gravity Gold. Pretty special. I wish I could get the prices on them, but again, we can't actually look at the pricing configurator right now for the Ioniq 5 because they don't have a release of maybe a few hundred vehicles. Moving though to Kia, and here's where the winner is. And the reason is because it's actually the cheapest for any paint option you want. You can get 7 choices. With Runaway Red at $0. Compare that to Tesla's $2,900. Yeah, it's a steal, and I've seen it in the flesh and it is a beautiful red. Then you've got Aurora Black at $550, Glacier, Steel Grey, Yacht Blue, Snow White Pearl, all for $550. Awesome, great value. But the really expensive one though is to go for the matte finish, and that actually adds $3,000 to the sticker. And then remember, you've got to pay taxes. So yeah, it's more than $3,000 just for a special coat of paint. All right, moving now to the exterior looks. And okay, I gotta say, the Model Y actually looks better in person, but still, I'm not a fan of the front so much compared to the side profile and the back. I love the back. It's got the SUV look. It's like a mini Model X. It's great. The Ioniq 5 is futuristic. It's a design that is stunning to look at. When you see it in the flesh, mate, you'll be like, that's pretty impressive. Well done, Hyundai. Then you've got the Kia EV6, which from most angles looks very much same as all the other cars they're producing right now. That might be nice for some people, but for me it's a little bit boring. So in this one, I'm going to give it to the Ioniq 5. Next, interior. And I've got to say this straight off the bat. As much as I like minimal interiors, the Tesla Model Y, it's very stark, it's very empty, and for the premium price you are paying, think about a European brand that you could buy. In fact, compare the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 to it, and you'll realize that you're not getting a lot. Everything's controlled through that center screen, which again, I love. It makes future upgrades very possible, but basic things like HVAC controls and stereo controls, they should be hard buttons. And so straight away on a discount the Model Y. Shifting over to the EV6, it's very dark and moody. You have two different trim choices, and it's basically black or a version of black. And I did like it. And there's other things that I'll talk about later that I love and actually get my vote. But for this one, I've got to give it to the Ioniq 5. Again, what they've done on the outside, they've brought to the interior. And they haven't gone with just same. No, they've actually done a whole new interior, such as the sliding center console, a dash that befits something so modern and different. And fit and finish, that is right up there with luxury car brands. The leather in this, the materials used throughout the cabin, everything you touch is premium. And Hyundai has done here is actually push themselves not from a mainstream brand that people like think, okay, great, I'm going to get myself a Hyundai. That's what people do, right? You get the i20, the i30. No, this is actually a luxury version of a Hyundai product. So yeah, you haven't been in one, you won't understand what I'm talking about. But when you go from that to the Model Y, mate, they are poles apart. So the Ioniq 5 gets my vote. When we're talking about SUVs, we need to talk about dimensions and cargo carrying capacity. The Model Y is the biggest in every respect, from its width of 1978 millimeters, length at 4,750, height at 1,624. In almost all respects, the others are smaller, and you can see that in the total volume. Essentially, the EV6 is about 1/5 smaller than the Model Y. So if you're looking for space for not only passengers but also cargo, you've got to go for the Model Y, because right there you've got a total carrying capacity of 2,158 litres compared to the Ioniq 5 1,653 litres, or the EV6, which is the smallest here at 1,260. Configuring the interiors of these three different cars is pretty simple, much the same, but I think the Model Y gets my vote because it's actually got three-way split seat adjustment. You can not only do a pass-through, but you can also get the seats down independently. I probably should have spoken to this earlier, and that's wheels, but I thought I'd put this with suspension because the wheels affect suspension, ride, and handling. And the Gemini wheels that come standard with the Tesla Model Y, they look okay with the wheel covers off, but the plastic covers that are on them, they look horrendous. Whereas the Ioniq 5 has got this very futuristic design, which are very fussy and may not be to your taste, but I actually like them. And then you've got the Kia EV6 with its Kumo 19-inch, which actually look very sporty and go with the car very nicely. If I was to choose both, depends on my mood. Today it might be the EV6, tomorrow it might be the Ioniq 5. But I'm not going to give this one to the Tesla Model Y. But if you go for the performance one, then I prefer the performance rims that come on the Tesla Model Y. What am I going to say then? We'll give this one a draw. Let's give it a draw. If you've seen my reviews and first impression videos of all three cars, you'll know that ride and handling is super important, and more so when you've got an SUV. You want something that's going to be transporting you around for day-to-day activities. And you don't want a harsh, sporty ride. And unfortunately, the Model Y was very firm, too firm, really. A lot of the knocks and bumps were coming into the interior. Was that because of the wheels, the coil setup, the dampeners? Who knows? But nonetheless, the made in Shanghai Tesla Model Ys, they are not the best. Little call out here to Tesla, I believe from reviews that the German-made ones are actually a lot better. So can you please do us all a favor and just mimic that and put it into your actual, made in China ones? That'd be really great. In terms of competing between the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, I reckon that at the end of the day, I actually prefer the Ioniq 5. Professional car reviewers noted that it wasn't so good at going undulated surfaces, but I didn't feel that, and I prefer a little bit more of a cushiony, well-supportive, refined ride where I'm not hearing the road, I'm not feeling every bump and shudder in the cabin. And so I'm actually going to give this one to the Ioniq 5. Next up, I'm going to very quickly cover off three items, that is motors, performance, and top speed. And all three votes go to Tesla. And that starts with the power. The Model Y entry level has got 225 kilowatts of power and 420 newton meters of torque. the performance model 377 or 660. The other two don't get anywhere near those figures, and if you actually want that sort of push into the back of the seat feeling, yeah, you're going to have to stretch to the all-wheel drive variant for both the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, and they actually will do better price-wise, really, compared to the Model Y. But if you want that really fun experience, you've got to definitely opt for the Tesla Model Y Performance, because it goes from 0 to 100 in only 3.7 seconds and has got a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour, which you can't do in Australia, but nonetheless it's fun to think you could do that. Going with those three different dimensions, we need to think about battery, and the EV6 and the Ioniq 5 feature LG Chem and also CATL batteries, but the lithium-ion versions. So this is again going to go to Tesla because it's got the CATL lithium phosphate batteries. And what that means is that you can actually charge it up to 100% and it's completely fine. It does not mind. If you do that with a lithium-ion battery, no, you don't want to do that unless you're about to depart for a long trip. And that actually therefore means that you can charge your Model Y entry level to 100% and have the same range as the other two, which you actually don't want to charge normally more than 80 or 90%. So you're going to get more range out of the Tesla Model Y entry level compared to the other two. But let's now segue very awkwardly to range, because it is a hard little comparison, kind of. All car makers rate their cars based upon, let's say, the WLTP cycle or the American EPA method. However, real world is actually what I'll prefer to use. So for this, I've consulted the EV database, and surprisingly, the Kia EV6 comes out in front with 410 kilometers or 400 kilometers for the all-wheel drive variant. We're yet to see actual figures from the Tesla Model Y in Australia, and know that the WLTP normally have to discount it by about 20 to even 30%. So if they say 455 kilometers, which they are, remembering it's WLTP claimed range, take 20% off that, and you're realistically going to be thinking about, maybe 350, 380 kilometers. So yeah, I'm going to go with the EV database and give this one to the EV6. For times when you can't be charging at home or you're doing a road trip, DC fast charging is where all three cars are actually pretty good, kind of. In a review by Car Expert and other Australian reviewers, they noted that the Tesla Model Y didn't seem to go above 170 kilowatts of power. This is really kind of a disappointing figure, given that up till recently, most Model 3s in Australia go up to about 220 kilowatts, which is what also the Ioniq 5 and EV6 are capable of. So what's going on? I don't know. Is it software limited? I'm not sure either. We'll work it out when actual people like me and you get our own. But nonetheless, I just can tell you from experience, the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, they feature 800 volt architecture, which means that it can actually accept a massive amount of energy, up to theoretically 350 kilowatts. Normally they actually run about 220, mind you. And that can be at a sustained rate. So when you ever plug in a Tesla, it will very quickly peak to, let's say, 220, 230 kilowatts, and then it will taper down very rapidly. Whereas the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, they keep it at a sustained rate. So you can go from 10 to 80% in 17, 18 minutes, giving you at least 300 kilometers of range. The same is not true in a Tesla Model Y. So yeah, I'm going to give this equally to the Hyundai and Kia. Returning to the interior and thinking about steering, all three are actually pretty good, very SUV-like, a little bit, well, not floaty, that's actually not fair on them, but nonetheless, it's not exactly sporty either. You can change the steering setup more so in the Tesla, but yeah, I go for comfort over like sportiness, and I don't want a weighted steering wheel, essentially. But what I do love is the Tesla's ability to actually move the steering wheel up and down and in and out based upon your profile. And so for steering, I'm going to give this one to Tesla. Another element that they're all basically equal is HVAC, and all have got heat pumps. That basically means it's a very efficient way of heating and cooling your car. However, I've got to give the ticks more so to the Kia EV6, because not only are its seats heated and ventilated, and the steering wheel, which, okay, sure, the Tesla has got heated seats front and rear and a heated steering wheel, and the Ioniq 5 has also got heated seats throughout the entire cabin. Kia takes it one step further with quick and easy to access buttons on the center console which control heat and ventilation and that heated steering wheel. For those who know me, I love good audio and visuals, and the comparison between these cars is kind of really hard because I haven't got them all side by side, and nor do I have any objective measuring equipment. But nonetheless, let's talk about the premium speakers that are in a Tesla Model Y. Do they sound good? Yes, they do. They sound great. You've got 13 speakers, a subwoofer, and 2 amplifiers. And that creates an immersive sound field and is it's actually very good. They aren't branded, but they sound great. Moving over to the Ioniq 5, that's actually got an 8-speaker Bose system and subwoofer, and also sounds really good. And then finally, the EV6 also sounds excellent, but this has got a Meridian 13-speaker system with subwoofer. So when it comes to audio, I think the Kia EV6 gets my vote. Coming to convenience and mobile phone connectivity and handling your mobile phone actually, they've all got wireless chargers, but the Tesla Model Y has actually got 2 bays and they're nicely placed front and center for easy access into and out of your car. Let's talk about navigation, and all 3 have built-in maps. However, with Kia and Hyundai, you can also go back to the dealer to have them updated, whereas Tesla has got Google Maps built into it, which is actually downloaded as a massive file and it gets updated maybe once or twice per year. Who knows, but nonetheless, it actually is in the car, ready to be used. If you're paid for premium connectivity, you can see live visualizations as to what traffic looks like. And if you haven't got that, that's okay. It actually is still working behind the scenes. You just can't see, let's say, congestion that's coming up ahead. The other benefit of its integration with, let's say, through your smartphone, and you give the access to your Google Calendar or your iCalendar, it will know where your next appointment will be, and just with a quick swipe, you can get navigating to that spot. So you can tell already, this one's definitely going to go to the Tesla Model Y. But what Tesla doesn't have is Android Auto nor Apple CarPlay, and for a premium brand, it's unacceptable. If you've got a great phone, the experience of using those 2 systems is brilliant. It's connected, you've got apps, your favorite thing, let's say Audible or whatever your favorite podcast player is, you name it, a better route planner, that's on there. But can you do that in a Tesla? No, you need to put up with Google Maps as built into the car. You can't option for that 3rd device. And you've got to use Bluetooth on your phone as a circa 2010 car experience. Whereas when you get into the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and is very feature rich and something that Tesla just can't match. However, oh man, I'm backwards and forwards in here, aren't I? Tesla's infotainment system is still actually the best, and you know why? And this is what I love about it. It's always getting free games, really excellent games like arcade quality games, as well as Netflix and YouTube and other ways you can keep yourself entertained when you're out waiting somewhere for someone. It's a lot of fun, and you know, the toy box stuff like fart mode, my girls love it. They love it. And for this reason, I've got to give the infotainment system the whole tick over to Tesla. Shifting over now to voice control, and all 3 have a basic fundamental level. I'll give this one a bit more to Tesla, mind you, because they've taken the time and trouble to try and do things like my butt's cold, so it turns on the seat warmers, navigate to somewhere and it will do an okay job. Doesn't always get it right, and hilariously, when I did a review on this lately, it was of course bad. It took 3 or 4 attempts to get it to work. My experience on the other hand with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, especially Android Assistant, is that it's spectacularly great. It understands you the first time, and for me, because I've got my life integrated with Google quite a lot, I can do things like turn the lights off at home, you name it. It does a lot for me. Yeah, those 2 cars can do it, but you need to have that connected Apple CarPlay or Android Auto experience. Okay, finishing off, I think, this section on mobile phone and connectivity and infotainment, and that is how we're going to keep our phones charged. And well, you've got the wireless chargers, obviously, that I've spoken about, but you've got USB slots, which in the Tesla Model Y has got 4 USB-C and 1 USB-A in the glove box for the Dashcam. In addition, it's got 2 12-volt sockets. The Ioniq 5 has got 5 USB-A and 2 12-volt sockets. Whereas the Kia EV6 has got 5 USB sockets and one 12-volt. So I've got to give that kind of equally to both of those cars. Moving over now to cameras and safety and security. And hands down, we've got to give this next to Tesla because, well, one, it's got 8 cameras to aid with Dashcam footage collection, albeit it's a little bit weird in its color and contrast because they're primarily used for actually working with autopilot, which I'll talk to in a moment. But nonetheless, at least they're actually using those cameras. You've got 5 over in the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, but they don't use them for anything other than parking assistance. Next up is radar cruise control and lane keep assist. And if you ever watched any of my reviews, you know full well that I compare every car to Tesla's autopilot. It is actually got this down to a T. It's just so good. It works in so many situations, and sure, a software update might just temporarily break it or give you phantom braking or make you do weird things that you don't want to do, but they tend to fix them over time, which is great. And so, yeah, again, Tesla gets my vote here. Okay, we're getting to the end now. Let's do a bit of a stock take on how we're going. And yeah, okay, it's looking very much like Tesla's going to win. But will they? Because you know what? There's features Hyundai and Kia have that Tesla doesn't have nor can ever have. And that is vehicle to load. If you want to take your favorite coffee machine, go glamping, watch TV on a big TV, run an awesome stereo system, you name it, these two cars have it. But I've got to give my vote to the Kia EV6 because it has 2 plugs you can actually use, one inside the cabin and one outside the cabin. Another feature that Tesla can't compete against is in the Ioniq 5, it's got rear privacy shades. And yeah, you know, if you look to like the BMW 7 Series and Mercedes S-Class, they've got them, yeah. But does the Tesla have it? No. The best you're going to get is tinted rear glass, and that's as good as it gets. Coming to driver controls and the experience of using these cars, I like Tesla, remember that, but conversely, okay, the screen that's to your left, the speed displayed on the top right corner, is basically, it's a money-saving issue. It really is. And Tesla doesn't put the binnacle in front of you, nor a heads-up display for cost reasons. Just look to the Tesla Model S and X, the new ones for 21, 22, and they've got them. Well, they don't have heads up, but they do actually have the thing in front of the driver. Why is that? Money. Okay, when we move over to the EV6 and now the Ioniq 5, they have the augmented heads-up system. And oh my gosh, it is so brilliant. You're looking out in front, you can see your speed, you can see the indicated speed as to like a speed limit advisory, your directions as to where you should go next. It's got a lot of stuff there, and it just makes driving so much more pleasant. Sure, you do get used to, and I've used Teslas for like ages. You just look to your left, you just glance to your left, you get used to it very quickly. But you know that it's just a workaround for something that should actually be in front of you. Okay, let's talk about warranty. And I've often said that Tesla has got a very poor warranty, and it still holds true today, this date. Okay, just in case you watch this in the future and it's changed. But essentially, a basic vehicle limited warranty of 4 years or 80,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, is very poor. They do have a battery warranty that is excellent at 8 years or 160,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, with a minimum of 70% retention of battery. But when you compare that to Hyundai's Ioniq 5, they have a 5-year unlimited warranty and an 8-year or 160,000 kilometer warranty on the battery. But who wins this one? Actually goes to Kia, who have got an excellent 8-year unlimited warranty on everything. The car, everything inside it, and the battery. It's very impressive, and I'd like to see Tesla try a lot harder in this respect. I could compare price, and I'll put them on screen now, but I really can't give my vote to anyone in particular because it depends on who you are and what your budget is. Right now, if you want the cheapest electric vehicle in this class, this small medium SUV, it's actually going to be the recently announced Ioniq 5 Air, starting at $69,900 before on-road costs. But if you want performance and speed and that fun of Tesla, you've got to opt for the Performance Model Y, which starts at $96,700 before on-road costs. So I'll leave that one completely, won't get any votes, but nonetheless, just know that there's a difference there. And the other one that is kind of intangible, something you really just can't put your finger on, and that is brand and street cred. When we think about electric vehicles, what do we think of? Tesla. We do. And as much as I call out Tesla for bad things, I actually think they are the best when it comes to electrics, battery management, and that fun experience of owning an automobile. Autopilot's brilliant. Supercharger network, they get it. There's just so much that they do well. And the other two brands, Hyundai and Kia, they've got legacy, they've got heritage, they've got the dealer support network behind them. That warranty is brilliant. And for some people, that's what they look for. Something they're familiar with and a brand that they can trust. But for me, I've got to give it to Tesla Model Y. So at the end of the day, we have a clear winner here. But what's my choice? And this is where I can dream that maybe, just maybe, in a world that Chris gets his car the way he wants it, I would have the exterior and interior of the Ioniq 5. I'll have the battery and the motors of Tesla. I'll have the infotainment system of Tesla, but I'll add to it Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You get the idea. Also, what do we need in my dream car? We need Tesla Autopilot. So if I could have dimensions of those different things, and add to that Kia's heated seats and ventilated controls, yeah, you've got yourself the perfect car. But again, no car is perfect. So you gotta land on something, don't you? Okay. Well, look, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if I've helped you in any way, great. Maybe give me a sub. But if you want to see behind the scenes content, regular news, and stuff that you just don't get here on YouTube, join me on Patreon where you get all this and a lot more from as little as $2.50 per month. And as per usual, you be good and you be green.